Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Squawk and Seas podcast, your favorite Pokemon podcaster's favorite Pokemon podcast. My name is Kyle Cooper Rios, and I'm joined, as I am every week, by my co-host and man with a Charizard on his microphone. It's the Pony Bottle Champ, Mr. George Fabre. Georgie, happy Tuesday, sir. How you doing?
I like Charizard.
Yes, you do, honey. Yes, you do.
What's up, bro? Oh man, we had some days today, huh? It's been a day for the both of us.
It was certainly a day for the boys, for real. I had a terrible day at work today. Not that anything bad happened. It was just like a nonstop busy day at work. One of my coworkers is on vacation this week, so it's just me and my boss, and it was just really busy today. Like, didn't really get an opportunity to like sit down or do anything or, be like a functioning member of society. Not a lot of when I look at my phone battery, because we like to crack jokes that George doesn't do anything for his job, but he actually works quite hard, much harder than I work on a daily basis. So when I look at my phone battery and it's like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm still pushing a strong 75% on my phone battery, I know I've had a busy day at work because I have not had time to look at my phone and shit posts all day.
See, it's actually the opposite for me, because when my phone is dying and I have to charge it multiple times a day, it means I'm working really hard. Because basically my phone is my job and my job is my phone.
Job is phone, phone is job.
Job is phone, phone is job. Job phone. Phone job. Phone job? Phone job?
Hey, oh.
Well, whoa.
Wow.
Whoa,
I mean,
whoa.
Hey, man, when in Rome.
Jeez.
Carry on.
It's a kid's show. But did you see that it transformed into a Blastoise now?
Whoa, my God. Like, what? Wait. You're telling me your Charizard is now a Blastoise?
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. Basically I just tell people all day that they should believe in themselves and less is more, and to have confidence.
That is true. That is a lot of what you... You're like almost a therapist. You're almost like 6 things, actually. Your official job title is... I cannot see your phone. It's so white right now. Is it your phone background?
Yeah, you can't see it?
Yeah, it's like bright. You're in like the... barely saw it. Now I can see a reflection of myself. You tried.
It says confidence, believe in you, less is more. So, yeah.
George, you do feel a great role of being like the emotional backbone of our regional runs most of the time. So
it's kind of like funny because I'm the most unserious person there is.
1,000%, easily.
Yeah.
But you still manage to keep it chipper and fun. But yeah, this is one of those. So I understand you also had a day today too. So like, what's happening in? It's, oh my God, it's a Venusaur now. That's crazy. Wow, how does he do it? George, how was your day today?
It was fine, man. It was just a regular Tuesday. Just another day at the office. It's a good day. I really got nothing. It was just a regular day.
Love that for one of us. If you haven't already noticed, for our non-visual listeners today, George showed up with like a bag of Pokemon figurines that he just had. George, do you care to share with the class what you have in that bag over there?
Yeah, I mean, I have a whole bag of them, but basically I was cleaning out my office today. I'm trying to tidy up, and I found these really cool figures from, I think it's either Evolutions or Generations. I don't know. One of them, the collection boxes, because I'm old and I have stuff like this. And also, I found these little pop guys. I got like these guys here. I don't know if these will sit up here. Will these sit up here? I don't know. Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. There he is.
A little Mewtwo, and then it's his son.
Little Mew 1?
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy work.
Yeah.
All right,
I
not
just
bad.
got some stuff here. Yeah, whatever.
He's got stuff in these things. I also have a show and tell today. My desk is a mess. Oh, my God, San Vicente. For starters, I have a power keep. My camera's over here. I have a Power Keeper's energy switch on my desk. Don't ask how I got there. I need 2 more of those. Nice cards.
That's the optimal energy switch.
I really like the art. So I am a big Sceptile enjoyer, and this Energy Switch has Trico on it. And I was very shocked to find out this card was only $5, which is like a lot for, I guess, in retrospect, for like, you know, many would was a card I could find for pennies like elsewhere. But I don't know. I thought this would be a lot more expensive, but it really wasn't that bad.
I mean, if you open packs back then, you probably have like 50 of them. That's $250. That's a quarter of a G-Bird right there.
I'll never say, Quarter of a G-Bird was the working title of this podcast for a while. I don't know if you guys knew that or not.
Yeah, and then we picked Squawk and C's for some illicit reason.
For today's show and tell, because I am currently in the midst of vacation prep, we are officially about a month away. Yeah, literally a month away from the North American International Championships. One of my biggest problems is that I don't want to pay for a carry-on on my flight. So one of my biggest issues is how am I going to get a bag that holds all of my shit on tournament day? And I did what any good person does after work on Saturday. I went to TJ Maxx and I bought this really cool sling bag for like $20. So very compact. I don't want to travel heavy. One of my biggest complaints for regionals is that like my backpack is so filled to the brim with shit that like my back is killing me by the end of the day. And I want to travel as efficiently as possible. So I got this sling bag that holds literally just the essentials. And also it'll help when I'm walking around on vacation and I don't have to worry about like back sweat all day. So
that's very chic of you. Very cutesy, very demure.
Do we still say that?
Isn't that right? Am I using that right?
You are. I just don't like it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like kind of a little foresight into the terrible Squawk and C's we have put together today. That's consuming my life unwillingly.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird week this week. It's kind of a slow news week. There's no major regionals happening in the States this weekend, unless you're going to Brisbane. So I want to give a shout out to Mr. Michelangelo Biology, friend of the show, Mr. Michael B.O., who will be traveling to Brisbane, Australia this weekend to compete. So when he watches this later, shout out to him. Australia regionals feel like they aren't real, mostly because they're on the complete opposite time zone as us. So I feel like I wake up and I'll wake up from a wonderful night's sleep, and the regional will be over already. Because unfortunately, they don't stream the Oceania events either, which is a real shame. But it is what it is. So slow news week.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do some yapping. We got some Pokemon cards to talk about. And then we're gonna do a really funny Squawk and C's where I torture George for approximately 10-15 minutes. So.
All right. Well, let's talk about some NAIC testing. We had a little testing sesh as we kind of do every night leading up into a major tournament because we're freaks, really. We just play way too much. And we've kind of come to a conclusion, Kyle.
Yeah, let's give an update for where we are compared to last week as we are today, the Lord's year 2025, May 13th, as we're recording this.
Well, I tried really hard, Charizard, but unfortunately, gonna have to kick the can. You're out of here, buddy. You stink, and you smell like shit, and no one likes you, and you're ugly. I still love you. I miss you every day. But yeah, Charizard sucks, and it can't be played. It just loses to Dusk Pult, Norpult, whatever you want to call it. You definitely prepped that bit. That was all off the dome, honestly. Kyle, did you have any idea I was going to do that?
No, you're so full of you're full of surprises, man. I never know what you're gonna. I never know what you're gonna have in store for me.
I'm just a mystery bag of a bunch of bullshit.
You're a freak, is what you are. So
yeah. But yeah, listen, at the end of the day, no Rotom V, no Lumineon V, no real way to set up, no Force Seal Stone, Watchtower being in the format, can't play it with Pidgeot. If you do, you might get punished. I don't know. Psyduck isn't printed. Dusknoir's still really good. I don't know what's going to beat Dragapult Dusknoir. And I think I'm just going to have to march in line and join the army and be a dirty scoundrel Dragapult player. Unfortunately,
You could. I do think you have some time before you can make that decision. We've, like you said, we play a lot. I think we, as a group, our think tank, we really want to try to leave no stone unturned. And I think we're still in that phase now where, like, I think it's okay to not pigeonhole yourself into something right away. Obviously, if there's an archetype that you like, gravitate towards that. Or if there's, what the hell did you just do? Just change the way your face looks. There we go.
There you go.
Much better.
yeah, you got to move it down a little bit.
Yeah, I'll scooch you down a little bit.
No, it's just too. Hold on, I can fix this.
No, it's
I
fine.
can
It's
fix
fine.
this.
It's fine.
I can fix it on my end. I can fix it on my end. Please. Let me do this. Boom. Look at that. Now we're perfect. Now we're like in sync. I'm still a little wider than you.
It's fine. It's fine. We'll figure it out later. That might also just be a me problem. So, I'm a wide boy. Know what I'm saying? So, anyway. So I think we're about a month out. I think I think if a lot of people are probably in the same realm of just like leave no stone unturned, try everything. Don't commit yourself to one option. And again, we're playing in a format that doesn't exist yet. All we can really do is go off of the internet and what other people are saying. So I think you should not chain yourself to an archetype past that, especially when Dragapult's the best thing in the room. I do think you should at least try some other stuff. See if you like it or not. You might find an archetype that clicks with you. I think you've been struggling. I think you're in the same boat as I was for a bit, where you don't really know what you want to play because the deck that you feel most comfortable with just isn't exactly in the cards right now.
Yeah, it's definitely just not good. You can't set up, and if you do set up, you just get blown up. And it's just this format. I hate when people are like, "Oh, the format stinks," but like, I think the format's being a little unfair towards me right now, and nothing is really sticking out to me that I really like. So for that reasons, I say it stinks, but I don't think it actually stinks. I think it's a pretty good format. I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts? Like, do you think it's a good format? Do you think it's a balanced format? It's kind of
the format is fine.
Format.
I think the format is fine. I think we were coming from a space where like everything, where we've gone through the tribulations of like everything is super fast. Your games are lasting no more than 4 or 5 turns, and now and then Badoo came out and kind of really forced people to change how they play their decks. So you're seeing a much slower games develop, more thinking man games develop, and also, we're still kind of fresh off a rotation. We're still trying to pick up the pieces of, where if you're like maybe in a case like I was, where you lose an entire archetype that you're comfortable with, or in your case where you lose some pretty major players in a deck archetype that you really liked. And it's just a matter of, maybe that deck just really isn't the time for it, right? For that deck right now. So, the long and short of it is, I don't think the format's that bad. I definitely think there's still some very overtuned stuff in the format, but my opinion of what makes a format good or not is like, is the field wide enough to where there's a lot of variety in what you're playing? Like, I can think back to, when the format was just Lugia, or it was Mew and Lost Box, and it was just those 3 archetypes. You listen to any podcast that would talk about upcoming regionals in like the 2022-2023 season, and like, the pundit would ask the top player on their podcast, like, "Oh, what are the 3 decks you're trying to tech for this weekend?" They gave the same 3 answers. Everything was so chalked back then, where 2 out of every 10 decks you're going to play on a weekend is going to be Lugia or some variant of something or of that stuff. So I think the format's in a fine place, but I also think it's, it also depends on if you find an archetype that sticks with you or not. And I think you just might be struggling a little bit of an identity crisis. You don't really know what you like right now.
I think like the hardest part of this format, trying to figure it out, is that typically we can look at these Champion League lists, and sure, they're best of one, so they're not the same at all to what our meta is at all, But typically, we can look ahead of time and see the cards being played and know what decks are achieving, And right now, we can't do that because their format has Psyduck. And who would know, like, a little yellow duck would be such an important card. But, that stopping Dusknoir lines, like, that's just so... I mean, it's just crazy to me. There's Brad Brown. He loves the duck.
Yeah, Brad loves his duck. So nobody's happier than he is.
Yeah, but I think that's what's, like, the worst part of it, right? Like, we can't go into this format and say, all right, these are the decks that are doing well, go off of this, tweak them a little bit, put it around your play style, because their meta is completely different with Psyduck being involved. Now, that being said, like, is Dusknoir just really good in this format then? Like, how prevalent is Watchtower going to be? And I feel like we're talking so far ahead of NAIC, but obviously, you and I, that's the next major tournament we're going to. I don't know, like, if I even care about results from Portland or Brisbane this week, because it's the same format that we've been playing, and I really think the NAIC format's going to be completely different. So we are kind of in this weird spot that we're testing for a tournament that's really 3 tournaments away. 3 majors away, and I think we're trying to achieve something impossible right now.
Yeah, it's certainly difficult to say the least. I will still look at those results, like, very closely, because in my opinion, like, yes, the cards that are good in the next set are very good. I don't really think they change that much, because obviously now, again, everything's with a grain of salt, like we've mentioned. The way that Japan plays their tournaments and the way that we play ours in the States are wildly different. So
Joltik is not a duck, Bradley.
I don't know, man. I'm not gonna.
Joltik is
that's taking his name.
Bug.
It's not Jolt Duck, which would be kind of crazy, but yeah,
Joltik
like you
is definitely an insect, bro. It's a bug type.
Anyway, like I was saying, I think if you, like, look at the results in Japan, like, specifically the most recent Championships
Are
League.
you guys messing with me right now?
I think you're losing it.
You guys really think Joltik is a duck?
Oh my God! Read the room, George. It's sarcasm.
Oh, okay. Oh, Jesus.
Bro lost it. Anyway, looking at the Championships League, like, while those cards are very strong, like, I think the Watchtower does hamper those decks that rely on the Noctowl engine, but at the same time, decks that are playing the Noctowl engine are still doing very good in those tournaments. I don't think, like, I just think a lot doesn't change, and we just kind of get some new cards. I do think some of the new stuff that we get is interesting. Whether or not it'll make a big enough impact or not, that's still to be determined. Like, I think the Grimmsnarl deck is very interesting. That's popping up all over the place as, like, a slower, more like beefier version of what the Monkey Dory Frostlast deck is trying to do. You instead just ramp up all your energy into play with the Grimmsnarl, move some energies around with the Monkey Dories, and still have this, like, beefy 300 and I think it's like 340 HP or something like that. It's got 320 HP, so it's got a lot of health on it. So this guy's
it's a healthy boy.
Yeah, so there's that archetype that's interesting. I still think, like, because the best of one is so, like, skewed, I do think stuff like Garchomp and Mewtwo are still very underexplored deck archetypes, because those cards read really well on paper. Whether or not they have the consistency or the firepower to keep up with everything else is, again, depends on how you build stuff. But that being said, I still think enough stays the same to where you can take the results from Brisbane, you can take the results from Portland at the end of the month, and still kind of find yourself in at least a foundation of something that still makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think if Tord performed better in the Champions League, we would probably be talking about Mewtwo way more, right?
I would imagine so. Probably.
But the fact that he didn't really even, I don't think he even made day 2, right? So, like, I think that's, like, a big part of it where it's like, well, if Tord Reckliffe can't play the deck, why the hell am I going to play the deck, you know?
Yeah, but I think there's also, like, a consensus of just, like, nobody really knows what's the right way to play that deck. Do you just double down on the Rockets engine? Because I think Tord didn't play... Like, Tord played some interesting cards in that list, but he doubled down on the Rockets engine without playing something like Pheasantipity, which is obviously one of the best support Pokemon in the format, or something like Lily's Clefairy, which does swing a matchup that's probably already in your favor because of how the numbers match up in Dragapult, but it just makes those certain matchups, like, a little bit easier. The Clefairy being able to give weakness to Dragon types cannot be ignored, and I think there are certain... I personally think that should be like a guaranteed card in a deck like Mewtwo, but again, I think you can still look at what's coming on the horizons and like build yourself a foundation, because I think Raging Bolt is still going to be very good. I think Dragapult obviously is going to continue to be very good. I think decks like Goldengo are still going to be very strong, even though the consensus I feels like that deck might be losing a little bit of steam, but I still think it's very consistent. So.
Yeah, I mean, this card right here, Kyle. This one?
Yes, the Petrol? No, that's not Petrol. That's, which guy is that one? I know the answer to this.
I don't know. But it's search your deck and take out any trainer card. That card is actually pretty busted.
That is Petrol, okay. Does Mewtwo get boned by that Psyduck and or Dusknoir? Maybe, I don't know. I'm curious to see how the... I think obviously the Dusknoir helps in that matchup because you can... Dragapult can then, I guess, move some damage around. But yeah, well, it's tough because like 280 HP is a lot. So you're sacrificing a lot of resources to make that work. But also I think the damage counters don't really affect Mewtwo that hard in that matchup for a couple... Because... I'm a big champion for the Team Rocket's Wobbuffet. I think that card's really good, especially in a meta where Dragon Bolt's really good, because you can take all those damage counters and just move them somewhere else, which is very, very good. And then the Articuno fixes so many problems in that deck because Dragon Bolt can't like spread damage effectively. I think on paper that deck's really good into that. Yeah, and the Team Rocket's Mimikyu also an absolute menace in that matchup, which is why I think Clefairy swings this matchup, because you can single attach to a 60 HP basic Pokemon and one hit knock out a Dragapult. That card is crazy. That card is so good. Like,
yeah, put down Lily's Clefairy and Guardy and play that and copy Phantom Dive.
Yeah, it's busted. It's proven to be very good.
Bruh.
So I don't know. I think because of how a deck like that functions, and like I think that just might not be a good best of one deck. But I don't know. We'll see. Someone's gonna crack the code on that. I think that deck, especially if Dragon Ball's gonna be as good as it is, as people are expecting it to be, I think this deck does very well into that. So if you're willing to, because Mr. Denki Duck can also vouch for this as well, that your regional run at a regional or an IC, your first run doesn't, the real tournament doesn't start till you're like round 4 or round 5 when you start like getting to like the higher echelon tables. So if you're willing to like play through like the garbage that is like some of the early rounds of regionals where you're in Jank City without a gun, then you might find yourself in some pretty favorable positions. Also, hi Marielle, she's watching at work right now. So,
hi Marielle, how are you? Well, what I will say about the Rockets Mewtwo deck in general, that set's coming out end of this month, right? We talked about. I always forget.
Pre-releases are starting this Saturday. I am going to a midnight pre-release, and nobody else is. So,
because we're losers and we smell bad. But
yes.
The thing I was going to say is, good luck building that deck. Like, how are you going to build that deck before NAIC? How much is it going to cost you to build that deck? is the right question.
I actually don't. I've been thinking about that. I actually don't think it'll be that hard because, like, I think we look at the guys of a booster box of just like, okay, how many like big hits do you get out of this? But like, I feel like the Tarantulas and like the Spidopses, those are all going to be common Pokemon, and also, the Mimikyu is a pre-release promo. So if you, God bless you if you're able to get the more than one pre-release, because the scalpers are coming out in full force to try to make this as hard as possible for everybody. But like the Mimikyu is like a pre-release promo, so like that's not going to be that hard to get. I feel like a lot of the pieces you could be able to like theoretically get out of one booster box if you're able to get your hands on one.
Yeah,
like getting the Mewtwo's might be the hardest part because those are EXs, and you're so like if you're trying to get your hand on 3 of those, that's going to be hard to do in one box.
I'm just curious, like how much of the set you're gonna have to open and get all the trainers. So
I don't imagine you have to open that much. I got a playable set of just using Journey Togethers as a scope. I got a playable set of the supporters I need of any of the relevant supporters. I think out of one box. I think I got like at least 3 or 4 copies of everything. So it's possible. Now, granted, obviously this is going to be inflated with like the other stuff you're going to have to sift through, the Ethans, the Cynthias, the Arvins, and the Marnies, and the Stevens of it all. So maybe it'll be a lot harder than we actually know. But who knows? I'm just going to try. I think I was able to procure a booster box because this is a deck that is interesting to me, and I would like to try to get my hands on it before NAIC. Just not only to test it for myself, but also to test it to help other people, because I do think this deck is going to be popular enough to where you're going to have to know at least have some general background information on how this works.
If it's not good with this set coming out, that in the Black and White comes out, I'm sure there's going to be other cards that's going to boost it. Like the deck is going to definitely be good eventually. Like if it's not the best deck in format for NAIC, I know it's going to be a top 3 deck in format at some point. It's not going to just go away. It's not just going to be a thing that maybe when Destined Rivals come out, it's a new deck. I think one deck that will be like that is the Marnie's deck. I think it's like fine. It's not really strong. I feel like a lot of the trainers Pokemon's decks, they made really balanced. Like they're kind of good, but they're not like powerful enough. It's just I feel like the format after this is going to get really weird and really slow.
Well, I think you have to look at it from the scope of look at what the early EX Pokemon had to compete with. They had to compete with VMAXs, they had to compete with V-Stars. So, like, Pokemon like Charizard and Pokemon like Gardevoir, those abilities read like crazy because they had to keep up with the power level of what was already a power level that was, like, way too ramped up. So, like, I think when some of those early Journey Together Pokemon were coming out, people were kind of looking at them like, oh, like, this is good, but it's not like, it's not Mew VMAX or it's not Lugia V-Star busted. Like, yes, of course, that's the point. They had to have toned things back a bit, and I do think that those cards function well within their own engine. I think that's that's good. And the same thing, with the Team Rocket's Pokemon. They printed some of the best support cards for this deck, but you have to play it within the scope of building around just that specific archetype, which I think is what the Trainers Pokemon were meant to do. In terms of a deck like Grimmsnarl, I think a deck like that, decks like Charizard, like, there's going to be certain decks that are going to be good depending on what else is good around it. So if there's ever a format where Mewtwo becomes like the head and shoulders best deck in the room, then maybe then a deck like Grimmsnarl or then a deck like that utilizes Darkness type attackers becomes a lot better. So I think there's very clearly like a top 4 or 5 decks that are going to be good going forward into NAIC, and then there's going to be that stuff that's like, well, this sort of stuff is going to be good, but just kind of depends on what else is good around it that makes it if it makes it better or not.
Yeah. Someone's asking if you pulled the Umbreon yet.
No. I have opened maybe like 5 packs of Prismatic Evolution, so.
Do you know how many I've opened?
0.
No, that's not true. I've opened like 3.
I do have a Sylveon EX, it's not a Sylveon, Leafeon EX though, so. Love that.
The SIR?
No, I just got a regular one for like $5, so.
Oh, well.
Okay. Those cards are like, I'm good. I'm never sniffing one of those cards in my life, so I'm chilling, man.
Yeah, well, cards. It's actually an interesting topic to bring up here while we're just trying to fill time and yap a little bit here. I was watching Pokerev the other day. I don't know why. I just was like, throwing some Pokerev, fellow Jerseyan.
True, I forget about that.
He was going through the. Yeah, he's from somewhere like Central Jersey. Anyhow, he was talking about how 151, like the market is crashing on it, and like we're like one card in particular he like brought up was like Erica's Invitation. It was like at one point like a $40 card, and now it's down to $8 for the SIR. And I actually wrote a comment on there because I'd like to get involved, I was like, if you guys just look at what the competitive scene of Pokemon is, you guys will understand exactly what Andrew's saying. Yeah, it's because Stall rotated. It was higher up because people were playing Snorlax Stall, and now that the Pokemon Go Snorlax is gone, it's done. What about Charizard 151? I mean, it's the same thing. That card has never been good. So
yeah, that's only a card for collectors.
It's a collector's only card. So if that card ever had any market and that crashes, I'm sure it's always going to bounce back because it's a Charizard card. You know, someone will manipulate the market and sell a PSA 10 or a Beckett Black label for a really high price to manipulate the market, and it'll go jump back up. But I'm talking about regular SIRs in sets like the Erica's Invitation, for example, where it was maybe like a $40 or $30. I don't know what its high was, but it's down to $8 card because it's no longer in the format. It's no longer in our competitive format. So I think now if you go look at the price of Jocks, the SIR on Jock has risen. And if you're just a collector, you would look at that and you're like, this doesn't make any sense. Right?
Yeah.
To us, though, it makes perfect sense. Jock is a great supporter right now, so the SIR is going to go up. It's the same thing where, I see people that are like, why does this card from, 10 years ago that's a gold card, that's a trainer, why does it cost so much? GLC. Mm-hmm. It's a good GLC card, and it's the optimal art, and competitive players buy it. So at the end of the day, when we're talking about Destin Rivals not being, a set that we're going to be able to get our hands on, they don't know what's going to be good until they let us have it first and let us play with it, so we can tell them where the market's going to go. It's kind of ironic when you think about it.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. And also, Andrew makes a good point in the chat too. To all the really expensive EXs are the competitive ones. So. I don't know. I just think the market stuff is always so weird. It's why I don't collect, and all the nice stuff I have is just by happenstance. So
that's a funny thing too. We don't even pay for these cards half the time that they're trying to desperately get their hands on. Just join the community, play some cards, make some friends.
My favorite is
person.
Yeah, it's not that hard. My favorite is there was a guy that came to one. I don't think you were there this week, but it was one of the weeklies we went to. Yes, Andrew did famously sell a Clefairy. Andrew sold a SIR Clefairy during pre-release times for $400. My God, net positive. There's a guy that came to one of our locals, and he was like, hey. These, people usually have their trade binders on. He's like, hey, you guys got trades? And we're like, yeah. He's like, all right, cool. I have an SIR Greninja EX if you guys are looking to buy one. And we're just like, you're asking the wrong crowd, bro. that ain't for us. But, yeah, I agree. People will learn a lot more if they just kind of played some cards. George came to a local last week, on a Friday for the first time in forever.
I went to 2 locals. I went Wednesday and Friday.
Yeah.
And Friday, there was a key factor why I was there.
Why were you there?
It was raining.
That's true, yeah. It wasn't nice enough. If it's nice outside, George doesn't want to be indoors. You're like a dog. We have to take you for walks.
Road dog. No dog.
Yeah, listen. It's fun, man. Playing cards is fun. We're all nice people for the most part.
There he is. Brad Brown. Brad Brown.
All right, we can talk about some cards.
People just listening to this on Spotify are gonna be like, "What? This guy has Tourette's, 100%."
You're an insane person.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about some new cards, George?
Road Dog War. Yeah, let's do it.
Also, before we get there, do you have any?
Road Dog War is insane word.
Do you find yourself placing
Dog War on the road to go?
All right, we're moving past the Dog War. Stop talking about it. Jesus fucking Christ! Oh my God. If we're gonna do this live thing, you need to stop reading everything in the chat. Let him yap.
The first Kyle crash out is amazing.
Oh my gosh, ADHD man sees the chat scrolling by, has to reply to everything. Calm down, son. Let's keep it moving. Someone's at the host of the show. Before we get there though, do you have
I'm locked in.
Do you have any last thing? Do you see yourself placing any bets on the NBA playoffs moving forward?
Yeah, Knicks tomorrow. They're plus 4.5. Makes 0 sense. Take a money line. Jason Tatum's out for the year.
I sat down today and I've been a Knicks fan since I've been alive. And there's a real possibility the Knicks go to the NBA Finals, and I don't know if I'm ready to wrap my mind around that yet. So.
Sports are rigged, though. You saw the Mavs get the number 1 pick.
Yeah, that's the NBA does such a terrible job at dodging the fixed allegations. Like,
did you see LeBron on McAfee? He goes, yeah, Cleveland just happened to get the number 1 pick.
Yeah,
D-Rose,
the year that he happens to wanted to go back. Yeah,
yeah. Chicago happens to get the number 1 pick. D-Rose, Chicago guy.
Yeah. That being said, as a Knicks fan, I am willing to buy into the rigged allegations because one of the best players in franchise history was Patrick Ewing, famously possibly one of the most rigged NBA draft lotteries of all time. So
same thing. Bring him back home. Bring him back to New York. Yeah, just
Anyway,
silly stuff.
Knicks in 5. Let's talk about some Pokemon, George.
Go New York, go.
So
that song goes so hard, by the way.
It's busted. It's so good.
Yeah.
So what they've been doing with the White Flare and Black Bolt cards coming out in August is that because they're releasing a card of every Unova Pokemon, every couple of days we're just getting new card reveals. It feels like waking up and every day is Christmas. So we're going to talk about some of the cards of the past week that have come out. George, would you like to start with the Joltik and Galvantulas?
I was going to say, maybe we should say that one for the last, because I think that's the only one that's actually compelling.
Sure.
That's the one I teased on Twitter, if anybody cares. Probably no one cares.
All right, let's start with Fungus and Amoongus. How about
Fungus
that?
And Amoongus.
I'll start with,
Sounds like an Italian brain rot. Fungus and Amoongus.
Fungus Amoongus. We'll get there. Yeah, so we got a new Fungus and a new Amoongus card. Fungus, grass type, 50 HP. For a colorless energy, you poison your opponent's active Pokemon. And the Amoongus, 120 HP, stage 1. Has the dangerous reaction attack for 1 colorless. Does 30 damage. And if your opponent's active Pokemon is affected by a special condition, it does 120 more damage. So, affected by status condition, you do 150.
Yeah. So, decent attack into Dark. Knocks out Zoroark. Doesn't quite get there on Charizard. Knocks out... Is Grimmsnarl, I think, is weak to grass.
It is, yes.
It technically knocks out Grimmsnarl if you play the... what's the fire guy? Put in the active. Burn your opponent.
Volcanion
EX. You play Volcanion EX, burn them, then they're burned, do 150, die to burn in between turns. Could be alright. Really only good as a single prize grass attacker. Let's be honest, Kyle, this card's not going to be played.
No, probably not. I just think there's better cards that do what this card wants to do, which is be a grass type attacker into decks that are grass weak. It's so weird. I love as someone that watches a lot of VGC, and I just love watching the dichotomy between Pokemon that are really good in like the video game and Pokemon that are really bad in the TCG. Like Amoonguss has been one of the best like VGC Pokemon since the Pokemon came out forever ago. It's got a great typing, it's got a great attack pool, it's a fantastic support Pokemon. But in the TCG, it just stinks. It is so bad.
On ice. I mean, Fluttermane's not that great either. I mean, Fluttermane's at least a little more relevant in TCG.
It's just not like busted. Yeah, Incineroar wishes it was as good as it is in a TCG than it is in the video.
What's the best crossover Pokemon from VGC and TCG?
Goldango.
Goldango, probably. Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
You said that fast. You've been thinking about that.
I love that guy.
But but I think neither one of these cards are truly anything to talk about.
You want to talk about Zoroark and the Zorua here? Because I think this card's pretty interesting.
That one is interesting too. I'll read this one. I'll take that off your plate. The Zorua, 70 HP, Buddy Poffin, searchable, take down for 1 dark, does 30 damage. This damage does, the Pokemon does 10 damage to yourself. 1 dark, you're knocking out a Badoo, any other baby Pokemon. That is a little compelling if you're making a deck around this. And then the Zoroark, 120 HP, stage 1, evolves from Zorua with Mind Jack for 1 dark, does 30 damage times the attack does 30 damage for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So if they're playing Area 0 Underdepths, you're doing 240 for 1 dark. Not bad. 240 for 1 dark. Yep. If they don't have it, then you're doing 150 for 1 dark. Not bad. And then Foul Play for triple colorless, which can be used in this set with that new special energy that came out, the triple acceleration. Choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon attacks and use it as its attack. Do you see this being used in an Zoroark deck? Do you think it works in conjunction? Splitting up the Zoruas? Do you think that's going to be too messy? How do you see this card fitting in?
It's tough. I definitely think you compare this with a Terra Pokemon. You could definitely pair this with like a Terapagos, to take advantage of a big bench size. I think this card reads like okay. Like I think mine, 150 for 1 energy is not terrible. I think they want to make this like a stage 1 attacking deck, like real bad. And again, having that access to the ignition energy, which granted you have to discard at the end of your turn. You can get immediate reward with this thing versus playing it with reversal energy where you need to be losing. So I don't know. I don't think this is terrible. I obviously I wish Foul Play was you can choose any of your opponent's Pokemon's attack, but that would be like a little too busted. But yeah, I think this is fine. I think it depends on what else you can play around this with. It's got the bones of a decent 1 prize attacking Pokemon.
Yeah, I think also one thing that people listening to this might be confused on, and I'll let you be the one to make the ruling on it. You could play 4 Zorua and 4 N-Zorua, right?
Correct, yes. They're different Pokemon.
Names.
You can't play them, yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, you technically could play a 4-4 or like a 4-2-2 with this and with that N-Zoroark, use it for the engine, and then still play an N-Zoroark deck and have this as another attacker with reversal energy since you're already playing it for the Darmanitan.
Yep, I think this reads okay. I'm curious how good single prize attacking decks are going to be, given we have Mega Evolutions coming out at some point. So I think they need to print more cards like this that have powerful abilities that you can take advantage of, because single prize decks might find themselves back in fashion moving forward.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think with triple acceleration and then also reversal, this card is definitely going to be played. But again, I don't know where it fits in exactly, and I guess time will only tell.
All right, moving on to what I actually think is remotely pretty interesting is this Reuniclus line. The Reuniclus evolution line, obviously the Solosis, 40 HP basic. Buddy Poffin searchable. That's cool. The Duosion, I read. It would be so funny if you could also get the Duosion off of the Buddy Poffin also, because it has 70 HP as a stage 1, but it doesn't work that way. The real interesting Pokemon here is the Reuniclus. Stage 2, Psycho type, 140 HP, has Cellular Awakening for 1 colorless. It's for each of your bench Pokemon, search your deck for a card that evolves from that Pokemon, put it onto that Pokemon to evolve it. Interesting attack read. And then also, for a colorless energy, the Evo Lariat does 40 plus damage for each evolution Pokemon in play. I think this is really good in a deck like Mamoswine, if Andrew's paying attention, because you have a single prize non-ability Pokemon that can hit through a walling Pokemon with Reuniclus. So I think that's cute. Otherwise, this card probably stinks, but it's nifty, easy to power up in a deck where you're probably already playing rare candies anyway. So I don't know. I kind of dig it.
Yeah. The one thing about the first attack, like definitely super interesting, like Evo to your entire bench if you're playing like Trolley. My thing is it like as a stage 2, you would technically have to, on your second turn, rare candy into it, attach Trolley, Evo. Like, you see what I'm saying? It's kind of a lot. But I think the second attack is interesting enough. It's definitely a powerful enough card for 1 energy on both of its attacks, both doing something that's super interesting. And I think you are right with Mamoswine there. That could be an interesting attacker, psychic attacker.
It's nifty.
I don't know. Yeah,
it's nifty. Hard to tell, but it's cute.
I like the direction they're going, though.
All right, let's talk about what I think is the real star of the show here, George.
Yeah, so the Joltik that's not a duck, and the Galvantula.
Also not a duck.
Also, definitely if that's a duck, then I'm a horse. But Joltik, 40 HP, basic Pokemon, surprise attack for 1 lightning, does 30 damage, flip a coin. This tail does nothing. This attack does nothing, sorry. This tails does nothing, makes no sense. This attack does nothing. Nothing to really write home about there. Galvantula, 90 HP, not a lot of HP, but I do think this might be the best card in out of the, not the format, the new cards that were released earlier. Discharge for 1 lightning, 50 times the number of lightning energy you discard from 50 times the energy from this Pokemon. So the amount of energy on there, this attack does 50 damage for each card you discarded this way.
Yeah.
So you discard all the energy from the Pokemon. Every card you discard, it does 50 damage. So with the electric, that's right. The electric, that was just reprinted. Obviously, synergizes really well with that. Other than that, Kyle, we have generators, electric. This could be a good attacker in Miraidon.
I don't hate this. No, I think this is fine, and it's amazing that like Lightning is getting all this like great support back, going right into another World Championships. I'm sure it's going to make a certain archetype of people very happy. I think this reads very well. Again, it's a steep energy attach cost. Obviously, you're gonna have to discard 7 energies to properly power this thing up. You can maybe even play this with like you could probably play this with like a Magneton also, like kind of like use it as like a nuking attacker.
Yep.
So there's definitely synergy here. I kind of dig this. There's a lot of good There's still a lot of good lightning stuff in the format right now, so I don't see a scenario where a card like this is bad.
Until Psyduck comes, and then you can't blow yourself up to attach energy.
Which is true. I would hope. Oh, but you know what? I just thought about it. If we get the Psyduck in this next set, it's probably going to be as a promo card, which means it won't be legal for Worlds. Fascinating.
Interesting.
That being said, though, obviously 40 HP is scary. 90 HP is also not great, but theoretically an attacker that can hit infinite damage for 90 HP and a stage 1, not bad. I don't think this reads terrible at all. So,
can I just say something though? If they played it in Champions League, why would it not be legal for World? That'd be kind of crazy, right?
I mean, they have to play by different rules all the time anyway. Most of the time, they're so ahead of us. Japan's traveling back in time, to play in a Worlds format. So it wouldn't be the first time that has happened. The Petrant was legal over there, and then the Petrant was banned in Worlds. So
imagine they just like added. Well, I guess they couldn't do that because Destined Rivals would be so if it's a promo after Destined Rivals, yeah, it might be. We might get Psyduck in between Destined Rivals and Black and White. I would imagine.
I don't know, man. We might never see this card. Who knows?
Maybe.
But yeah, interesting cards. And by the time this podcast comes out again next week, we will probably see like more Pokemon get revealed. Again, there's a lot of Unova Pokemon, folks. So a lot that needs to be, a lot of ground still to cover here. So, you have a favorite Unova Pokemon, George?
I don't even know where Unova is.
Technically, it's New York City, if you want a real answer to that question.
Is it really?
Unova is based off the United States of America, yes. So.
Oh, wow. I never played Black and White. I have no idea.
Oh, those games rock. Great games.
I'll take your word for it.
All right, you ready to be tortured, George? So.
All right. Lay it on me.
All right, folks. So today's edition of Squawker Sees is brought to you by the inner workings of my brain and George's Instagram algorithm. So, for those of you who are unfamiliar, today we are Squawker Seizing how George feels about the Italian Brainrot characters. If you're not familiar, congratulations. You've successfully lived under a rock for the past however many months. There's just been like this high uptick of like AI Italian Brainrot characters that like have been appearing on like TikTok and Instagram. And it is absolute like garbage filth, but it is so funny. And George has been, done a really good job of being like, the extinguished adult in the room, like not knowing what any of this stuff is. And then we started jamming it down his throat because we're children and it's funny. And now George sends me the videos he gets on his algorithm because he watched one video on it, and he's just like, I can't deal with this anymore. And now he's vocal stimming with it in the group chat. So
it's because you guys vocal stim first of all on it. But all right, go ahead. Let's do this.
Right. So I'm going to be asking George his thoughts on the various popular Italian Brainrot characters. George, are you ready?
All right, I'm ready. I'm ready as I'll ever be.
All right, we'll start with what my favorite one is. George, are you gonna squawk or seize Frigo con Melo, the refrigerator camel?
Oh, he's got a sad story, man.
Does he?
He's just carrying his load around, dude. Literally, that's what it says. This load in his refrigerator. I'm gonna squawk him. He's a sad boy. We gotta shout out to the sad boys.
And it's like how big his stupid shoes are. It's so funny. What do you think he's got in that fridge, bro?
What you got in that? Where you keep that cheese, Danny? He's definitely got cheese in there, man. He's got some cheese in the lower there, bro.
If you want to keep him at home, by the way, I literally just Googled Italian Brainrot characters and clicked on the first link to a wiki page. So, all right. So we're gonna squawk or seize Ballerina Cappuccina.
Ballerina Cappuccina. I mean, she seems like a good coffee. Seems innocent. She's got some other coffees there, gang. A little bit of drama, honestly, with the Ballerina Cappuccina. Oh man, why do I know so much about this? God damn it!
You've lost it.
I'm squawking Ballerina Cappuccina. I'm squawking her. She's a good person. She's a good cappuccina. Yeah.
Do you like cappuccino? Are you a cappuccino guy?
Am I a cappuccino guy? No, I'm not. I'll never actually. No, I'm not. Usually a straight black cold brew, no ice in the morning, like a straight psychopath. Just.
Ugh, God. No wonder you
put the stuff right here. Put the stuff right here.
No wonder you're pooping yourself.
Yeah. So I'll do a little almond milk, you know what I'm saying? Cold brew from Dunkin'. But if I'm like out to dinner, that's when I would get a cappuccino possibly at the end of the night. But then at that point, I'm a little bit of double espresso, twist the lemon little frangelico on the side. So some sophisticated shit.
All right, keeping it in the theme of coffee. Are we gonna Squawk or C's cappuccino assassino?
Cappuccino assassino. Yeah, Squawk and cappuccino assassino. That dude fucking rocks. He's the man. Hell yeah. Number one in your hearts, number one in your cup, bruh.
He is adorable. He's very cute looking. So
dude, don't call him adorable. He'll mess you up.
He'll kill me. He will kill me.
Yeah. He's literally an assassin.
All right, let's go with the. This one's for Andrew. Are we gonna Squawk or C's Burbur Patapim?
Patapin, I hate that guy actually. Seize that motherfucker.
He's so gross looking.
He's so ugly. He's got big ass feet, big ass nose. Nah, get out of here, bro. I ain't with it.
This is a tough one to look at. How about Chimpanzini Bananini?
I hate bananas. Seize.
What?
Next.
You don't like bananas?
I hate bananas.
Oh, I do notice about you. You have mentioned how you hate banana bread, so.
They smell like shit. Cease. Go ahead. Next.
Oh, man, that was funny. All right, let's see. I'm going through the list here. How about Trippy Troppy? You got any thoughts on Trippy Troppy?
Trippy Troppy? Do I know this one?
Trippy Troppy's kind of an oddball one, but I kind of dig it.
What does it look like? Remind me.
It's like a fish with a cat body, I think.
Oh, no. That one's horrendous. No, cease. Hate that guy.
How about Squawk or C's Giraffa Celestre, the giraffe that is part watermelon?
No, get that giraffe out of here.
Not a watermelon guy?
Fergiraff's the only giraffe for me. Cease.
All right, we'll hit the big guns next.
I've been waiting for them, honestly.
All right, so all right. Squawk or C's Bombini Gusini. You got any thoughts on Bombini
Gusini? Honestly, a Bombardier EX was actually good and was allowing me to play Charizard. I would have squawked it, but since that is not the case, I am seizing it. And also, he's a bad guy. So,
is a bad guy. Definitely a war criminal.
Real bad guy.
Real bad guy.
Yeah.
All right, let's hit the. Let's keep it in the family. Bombardiro Crocodilo. Any thoughts here?
Terrible guy. Haunts my dreams. Cease. Bad crocodile. Just bad morals. I don't even think you can mention it. Like it says, safe place for everyone at the bottom here on the Twitch chat. You know, that's one of your tags.
Yeah, this guy sucks.
Talking about Bombadillo Crocodile, that guy is just... He's a bad guy.
Yeah, bad guy. We hate this guy.
Hate that
All right. We're gonna finish... Last two. Tralalelo tralala.
Tralaleo tralala. Porcodillo porcala. Yeah, that guy also, like... But, like, I probably shouldn't even just said what I just said. In Italian, that's, like, a very bad thing to say. Like, the second part of that, did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, like, it's if you're religious...
I know nothing about what these characters are.
If you're a Roman Christian, we just got canceled, me saying that.
Jesus Christ.
That being said, Tralaleo Tralala with the NAIC song... You know what I always think about when I see that, bro? You ever hear that song, J Balvin and like Will.i.am, Ritmo? You know?
Yes, I'm familiar.
It's the rhythm, and then J Balvin's like, "Son Reebok or son Nikes." He's like, "These are they Reeboks or are they Nikes?" For Tralaleo Tralala, these are some Nikes. Mr. Steal Your Girl, yeah, Squawk. That's a big explanation for squawking him.
You do got some cool shoes on. All right. Finishing strong with we're gonna Squawk or C's tung 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 sahur.
Tung 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 sahur. He's our savior. If there wasn't tung 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 sahur, Crocodile Bombardillo Crocodile would still be alive. And tung 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 sahur is fighting the good battle against by what's his name, Bubusini Gusini. Oh God, why do I know so much about this? It's so crazy.
You need to see God. Honestly, you need so much help right now.
But you know that Tun 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 Sahor defeated Bombadillo
Yes.
Crocodillo, and then Busini Gusini went back, thought he defeated Tun 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 Sahor, but really he vanished and he said, "I will be back for you." And Tun Tun Sahor is coming back for Bombini Gusini, and he will take him down too. And I'm rooting for it because they're bad people and they deserve it.
You know far too much about this than I was expecting, but hey, listen, man, you crushed it today, so.
It's literally your fault. It's literally your fault. It comes up on my Instagram all the time, and I hate you for that. But
you can reset the algorithm very quickly. It's possible.
Listen, I've been trying to reset it to not get the things that I get already, and it's very hard because I just watch them over and over again. You know.
I bet it is. I bet it is. That's gonna be it for this week's edition of Squawker Seeds, ladies and gentlemen. Again, kind of a weird week, slow news week, but. Somehow, George, you're still able to get an hour's worth of content out of the show today. So,
because we're good at our jobs, Kyle.
I agree. We're very good at our jobs.
All right, you're good at your job. I just stem out. Go ahead, take us away.
Yeah, well, let's George plug some stuff. So you think the Knicks clean up the things tomorrow night?
Yeah, Nixon 500%. Take them plus 4.5. Take a money line. You heard it here first. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. I am not responsible for your actions. Only bet the money that you can afford to lose. Find me on the X platform, PNY BTL Champ @ in the front. I've been tweeting up a storm lately. Kyle, my little promo before the show. You had to be. That was a proud dad moment for you.
What's that expression about a clock and being right twice a day or something like that? Nah, it was good. It was good.
Yeah.
When you use a high quality photo, it's good. You picked the worst picture of Grimsnarl EX you could humanly find this morning. That thing was so blurry.
Oh, that was like 2 days ago, bro. You gotta fix your feed.
And what day is it? I don't know, man. You can follow me on Twitter and other platforms at Koopa NJ. If you want to listen to me wax poetic about the Knicks, who might be going to the NBA Finals soon. Getting ahead of myself. Let's get through Boston, and then let's get through, presumably, the Pacers, who I think we're a better team than. But that's beside the point. Yeah, I'm a Koopa NJ. I'm just prepping. I'm out here. I'm going outside. I went outside this weekend. It was great.
You're a city slicker now, huh? Big city slicker.
Yeah, it's a place. I like the city. It's nice. When it's nice outside, I like the city. But yeah, we're doing stuff. We got some. We're just playing Pokemon, man. I have a pre-release on Friday, so I will be here to report the spoils of that next week, and then we'll go from there. We'll be 1 week closer to NAIC, George.
Can't wait to go in that damn pool. Grill and chill, baby. We'll see you there.
Great.
And we'll see you next week.
Good night, everyone. See you guys next time.